You are watching Pucknology After Dark. Oh my.
Oh my, indeed, what a crazy game that was tonight in Beantown. But you know what? That W should be a double W because it was a wicked win. Welcome to Pucknology After Dark, following a 5-4 Sharks victory over the Boston Bruins. I am PuckGuy14. I am joined by AJ Strong
What it is.
and the Canadian robot that he is, the almighty Ian Reed.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm here. I'm awake. What can
All
you get
right.
from me?
Oh, I'm getting an echo. That is driving me insane. 1 second here. Now, if you want to be a part of the show, please use the hashtag Pucknology After Dark. There we go. All right, Pucknology After Dark. Use that to interact and contact us about the show. You can tweet any of us at all the Twitter handles below, as you can see. Alrighty. That out of the way, first things first, I'm hoping I'm not going to have any AOL issues tonight. But I'm trying on Chrome again, and it seems like we're going smooth so far. Alright, let's talk about this game. Marlowe gets to $9.99. Sharks win 5-4. Jumbo with the game-winning goal in Boston. Whew! We'll start off with Ian Reid.
Hey, yeah, I mean, what can you say? I mean, it was a good game. The Sharks came out early. Boston came back, but, the important thing is that the Sharks kept answering, and then they got up to a point where they were up, 5-3, and then, sure, Boston pulled within a goal, but, the Sharks didn't really ever quit on the game, and I thought that Jones probably could have been better, but he was still, he still made some key saves at key times that could have had this game just go completely lopsided, so, kudos to him.
And you, Mr. AJ Strong?
Yeah, good win. I think going into this roadie, I predicted 1-5. So
we were all wrong.
3-0's looking pretty nice. I'm still going to sit here and belabor and bitch and piss and moan about the damn special teams. It's when one shows up, the other disappears. We got power play, but coughed up a couple. It's just, I don't know why no one seems to be focused on this, but you have to admit that, you know what, if they're going to go 3-0 on the road, East Coast swing in the middle of trade rumors on Marlowe, let's just keep talking about trading Marlowe for the rest of this season if this is how we're going to play,
Well, and we'll start the if game for Joe Thornton, who says he doesn't want to partake in if games. And that was in response to ask if he would welcome a return to Boston. But yeah, this team looked pretty good. Three wins on the road. I don't know what it is, but it just seems like they're getting it done on the road, and just trying different ways, and just not, especially on the power play. They just seem like they aren't just doing their basic thing, where it's Marlowe on the half or Thornton on the half boards, and just do. I'm looking for the perfect pass. So that's something that's very good to have in later on and right now. And your thoughts on Martin Jones tonight? He had some nice saves, but he let in 4. A cause for concern.
I don't know if I'd go flat out concern. I mean, like you said, he's made important saves in key times where I feel like Niemi would have let him in, and then the game goes completely, out of control the other direction. And I think that, would he like to let in less than 4 goals a game? Sure, of course we want him to let in less than 4 goals a game. But he made the saves that he needed to make tonight. And then the winning starts with him, because I think he's been, through this 3-game wins, he's really, there's been times where he's had to hang them in it to keep them going. So I'm happy with Jones right now.
Yeah, as am I. Yeah, and if you look at it, two of those came on the power play, and one of them was just a wicked shot that, I mean, Niemi wouldn't have had, Patrick Waugh probably wouldn't have had. It's look at you take the power play out of the equation, and we're talking. Doesn't Boston have like a top 2 or 3 power play?
Yeah, they're one of the best in the league.
Yeah, so that's going to happen. You can't let them get you into the box. And I do think Thornton will remember this trip to Boston, seeing that his rooster got a little choked tonight by a stick. But the power play, I saw some new things on the Sharks power play tonight, which made me happy. I mean, even if the power play was kind of there were some new things, but I did see some old stuff. But you do look at the Carlson goal tonight. I mean, it's just like we had talked about a couple weeks ago of getting Thornton back in his office behind the net and finding guys crashing. And when you've got a guy like Carlson that's willing to do that, then you're gonna have some success in that regard. But Martin Jones, the one thing I do want to say though is there was somebody, I don't know if it was Pashelka or whoever it was, somebody had mentioned something about giving Jones like 90% of the starts from here on out.
I think it was Kurz.
See, I think that might be a little much, and
yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, that's a bit much. And I believe he mentioned something about Stalock not really showing anything. Well, you look at the last 2 games that he's played in. I thought he showed actually a pretty good amount. Not a full-time starter. I don't think anybody's saying that, but I think he's shown that he is a guy you can go to in back-to-back situations or to give your guy a spell, especially if it's he's obviously not going to be playing games against the powerhouse teams, but giving him a look, whether it's against Florida or Tampa, not Tampa, but the Devils. I mean, you can put him in and he will be serviceable, and you're going to get a good game from him, here and there. He's not. But then again, we've discussed this before. How much of a rhythm can you get into when you're starting 1 of every 10 games? So,
right.
Either way, yeah, I was a little perplexed by that comment. But either way, Jones seems to have shaken it off. That comment brought to you by Brody Brazil's Obsession. He's shaking it off and handed to the Sharks tonight. They let in 4 and they still won the game. When was the last time that has happened?
That's right.
It's one of those days that you're lucky and good to be lucky, because especially with it just seems like they were up 1-0, then it was 2-1, then you had 2-2, and it's like, okay, they're hanging around. And then Boston, made it 3-2, and then all of a sudden,
they fought back tonight, which is something we haven't seen in a while too.
That's right.
Exactly. And that was the most important thing of it all, was they fought back, they played hard, stayed, didn't let it get to them, and played well. Hey guys, we had 2 power play goals tonight.
I know.
2, and Vlasic had an assist on one of them. Holy crap!
It's just because, that's the other thing we're going to keep doing on the show, is keep talking about Vlasic shouldn't be on the power play, as long as he keeps this up.
Oh man, you just took away like half of what Landy likes to talk about.
I know.
And with that, good night, everybody. No.
Good night.
No, I was going to say, with that, let's talk about what I like talking about, and that is our defense. Now, first off, we didn't hear Dylan's name tonight, which, as most of us know, is usually a good thing, because when you hear Dylan's name, it usually means he screwed up.
Or he's in the box.
I'm sorry?
Or he's in the penalty box.
Yes, exactly. So let's look at what... but Dylan did, if you noticed in the last couple of minutes of the game, did decide that a cross-ice pass that went right in front of Jones across the crease was a good idea. So you have that. And then Braun, I'm not sure what he was looking at. He seemed to be hypnotized. Once again, I'm going to keep laying into those guys, making $3 million plus and playing like they should be making about half that. So they still got to show up that defense and make better decisions. I am still wondering how. I just can't feel like Larry Robinson is really involved in any of this right now, the way things are going, or people just are not listening.
Or they just need to give Larry a call and be like, hey, Larry, do you mind coming over for a little bit and teaching our guys how to defense? Because, they're not doing anything too well right now.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they had this problem last year, too, and Larry was on the bench all year, so, I mean...
Yeah, that's why I'm saying
too.
It's so just quizzical that you're going, I don't understand how a guy with 9 rings, how really involved is he with this?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, is why isn't he involved? Why are we still dealing with bad defense when he had arguably one of the greatest defensemen to ever play the game?
Mm-hmm. And it's not like he can't coach.
Right. I mean, it's not like he coached the team to a Stanley Cup championship. Oh wait, he did! Right. It just mind boggles me. I mean, there's something there that's got to be in the water. I just don't buy it. There's just something about it. I don't know. Maybe we can distract him by. Oh, well, that's not gonna work. I was gonna say we can maybe distract him with a picture of Taylor Swift, but of course that would never work on this show, right? For a second, I thought we might distract Brody while he's on air. Oh well. But so, in essence, what are we going to do now? I mean, we've won 3 in a row. We are on a roll. Now I believe, LA won in a shootout, so now they're 4 points ahead of us. We move up from 4th to 2nd place tonight with the win. We're starting to get the train rolling, guys. I'm not going to say the Sharks are back though, like somebody, but it just seems like things are going the right way. Now the question being is, you have Philly. Then you have the back-to-back against Pittsburgh and then Columbus. Would you want to start Jones the rest of the way?
Yeah.
Until Columbus, I'd give Stalock a look with Columbus. And it's not like Philly is, some barn burner of a team. I'd consider maybe even starting him there, but we get into that situation like we got into it last year with Niemi and Stalock. Is okay, you pick certain games that it's like, well, you definitely want Jones here, you definitely want Jones there, and then it's like, well, where does it end? Because then it's a case of Stalock just never gets involved. Yeah. So, I mean, I would look at Stalock. I mean, we've had Jones now, looking good, 3 straight games. Do you want to give him a rest, even though you have a day off, with Philly, and have him play back-to-back with Pittsburgh or Columbus? Let Stalock take Philly, or just let Jones ride this, and then put Stalock in versus Columbus, and then Jones should be really nice and rested for Chicago on the return trip on the day before Thanksgiving.
Right. But at the same time, you're still going to have 2 days rest.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could roll with...
I'd roll Jones all the way through. If the Sharks are playing well, they're picking up points. I don't see a reason to go to Stalock unless Jones starts to falter a little bit, at least on this road trip. I mean, it seems like we're a better team on the road. I'd ride it out. Yeah,
no, I can agree with that. And the fact that we've got, after the Thanksgiving ends here and we start into December, we have 3 consecutive weeks that carry back-to-backs. So he's going to get some looks in there as well.
Do you think that down the road, I mean, you have this weekend, and then, you have the back-to-backs with Calgary and Edmonton in December, and then later in the month you have Toronto and Ottawa. He's gonna get some starts, but do you think that maybe they might be starting to showcase Stalock? Because he could be part of a trade bait, especially if you are willing to be going into confidence with Grosnick next year. because you're going to have to make a decision sooner or later, and you would hate to see Stalock leave for absolutely nothing. You know,
I don't
kind of like
think he
how
has one.
Niemo.
Yeah, but I don't think. I mean, unlike Niemi, they had to make a tough choice. You either traded him at the deadline and said the season's over, which it was at that point, and they could have done it, but it's just, of all the messages to send to fans, that was probably, with everything else going on, that was the wrong one for sure. Hey, renew your season tickets.
Exactly, as I was say, especially since they pushed up the season ticket renewals. Yeah, it wasn't going to be a way to get people to hop on board the renewal train.
Right. Yes. I mean, that was a lose-lose for them. I don't think that Stalock has a ton of value, though. I mean, there's frankly better backup goaltenders out there that could be dangled as trade bait at this point. I think that like you got guys like let's say Dustin Tokarski, or guys that have not more of a proven record than Stalock, but they have, in the limited that they've had, they're kind of like they could be next year's Martin Jones and Eddie Lack and the other guy that went to Edmonton. They could be, and I think Stalock doesn't line up very well to those people.
Yeah, Stalock is not the next Cam Talbot.
Right. That's the name I was looking for.
Yeah. So right now, I think it's probably a little too early to be talking trades at this point. Although
we've been talking about it for 2 weeks.
I was going to say, although, yeah, but you know what I mean.
I know.
Although the Marlowe speculation seems to have this team pointed in the right direction, so I'll take it.
And even that's kind of died down at this point, no? I haven't really heard anything new on that front.
Yeah, I feel like it has, but for, who knows, maybe it's just a case of, well, it got out there, so we're just going to let it lie, and who cares?
It's amazing what happens when you win. I mean, seriously, This was happening all with, the injuries, and now they're falling apart. It's just amazing. So it's always a good thing.
It's like I always say, winning fixes everything.
It does. Winning fixes everything. But the other thing that I told you I'm like a pit bull with a chew toy, I'm not going to let this go, is the fact that you look at the guys that are out or injured for whatever reason, whether it's Smith or Couture or Torres, it's all forward depth. And getting Torres back is going to mean something. Getting Couture back is going to be huge.
Huge.
Ben Smith, really haven't seen much of what he's done. He's clearly not ingratiated himself to DeBoer in any way, shape, or form. Who knows if he's here come deadline time. But it goes back to defense. We got all this depth, this somewhat depth on forward, because we've lamented on that for I don't know how long, is our horrible depth, and now guys are kind of starting picking up, but we'd be remiss not to say, look, Wingles, Nieto, very unimpressive so far this season.
Right.
You can't put a whole lot of blame on Goldobin's shoulders, because you can't really expect, he shouldn't even be here right now.
No, I agree.
So I still just go back to the defensive depth. The fact, when you heard that they were looking at Zubris, okay, you want to take a flyer on a guy that DeBoer had, who he likes him, and there's something about him that he's seen that he enjoys. Okay, fine. When are we going to take a flyer on on some sort of defensive depth that is going to be at least allow you to put Mueller back in the AHL and stop bringing up Stollery, and maybe Tennyson is now your 7th guy and Dylan is your 6th guy. Let's find the right 4 or 5 guy.
Yeah.
Unless you can make it even better.
Well, then that's where you talk about maybe a trade for Stalock. If you're ready to go with that, and you're feeling okay that if Jones goes down, well, we have full faith in Troy Grosnick. That's where maybe that 4-5 D-man comes in from. And because let's be real here, you want Stollery? No, he's down in the AHL for a reason.
Yeah.
Do you want gosh, why can't I think of it? You want Ryan? Jeremy
Jovan Ryan might be good at some point. He just needs time.
or DeMello. I got the 4-7
DeMello,
7-4
yeah.
mixed up. But I mean, DeMello, is he ready to go? I mean, is anybody better what we have in the system right now compared to Mirko, Tennyson, and Dylan?
No, not at this point in time.
No one that's ready.
Yeah,
I think we'd all agree that DeMello, Tennyson, Stollery, those guys are probably just career minor leaguers that you can use in a pinch for a game or two if somebody goes down. But it still comes back to the fact that the Sharks just do not have enough depth on D. And for what it's worth, Burns has his moments on D, but they go both ways. He's just a little too wildcat. It'd be so nice to be able to find somebody to get that Doughty, that Duncan Keith, that guy who's just your top flight numero uno guy, the guy that Dan Boyle was when the Sharks got him.
Absolutely. I mean, maybe they're hoping for Jeremy Waugh to be that guy down the road, but that's down the road right now.
That's super far down the road.
Right. I mean, you're looking at a year at least, maybe 2.
2 years in junior, probably.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he's going to be NHL ready next year, so he's stuck in junior for at least 2 years because, like I said, I don't see any reason to rush him up. And then, he probably might need some seasoning in the AHL. That's potential. I mean, it's defensemen. Defensemen take they take a long time to develop.
Yeah, especially if your name is Nick Petrecki or Ty Wissert or Taylor Doherty.
Or you don't develop at all.
We develop it on. It turns. We're hoping for. But then when Summer gets a hold of him, that's.
Yeah.
Just saying, Dougie. I mean. Come on.
Oh man.
Dear God, we have breaking news.
Oh, breaking news.
The NHL is going to announce a 3-on-3 mini-game format for the All-Star Game.
I dig it, actually.
That's just going to be odd. I mean, okay, do we want to? I guess we want to turn this into a pond hockey or something. But
well, I mean, the All-Star Game's pond hockey anyway. I mean, no one watches the game. It's all like anyone over 8 doesn't care about the All-Star Game. It's the skills competition. That's the only thing that matters All-Star Weekend for most people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like the whole thing. God, I mean, can we fucking eliminate the gimmicks already? I'm so tired of gimmicks. It's like just for like one damn season. It's like I want to see this from like all sports across the board. Just a calendar fucking year that you or a season where it's like you wear your colors at home, you wear your whites on the road. There are no fucking alternative jerseys. There's no throwback this and all this, just gimmick after gimmick. No Orange Fridays and no, Blackout Wednesdays or whatever. I'm just so tired of the gimmicks. Like, let's just go one season without. Get back to kind of like what made the sport pure for the most part. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just tired of the gimmicks.
I hear you, but you know what? I'd actually before this, I wouldn't even even watch the All-Star Game. My interest is peaked that I would at least, if I was available, attempt to tune in at this point.
My question to you guys is this, because I believe the Pro Bowl will be played the same day. Which will have a higher score, the NHL All-Star Game or the NFL Pro Bowl?
I would imagine the Pro Bowl will, because nobody plays defense.
And
neither do they in the All-Star Game.
Yeah,
until goals start being worth 7.
Exactly. When goals start being worth 6 points, and
6. Sorry.
But we had what a 16, 13, 15, 14 game last year.
I don't know. It just makes me wish there was the Olympic hockey every year.
Oh. Ouch.
I'd take that. Well, because at least those games are really worth watching.
Yeah, that's true, and they're playing for something. Because CSN is off the air, why don't we welcome those of you who just joined watching Brody and Curtis to Pucknology After Dark. Use the hashtag to ask questions or comment, and follow any of us and tweet us at any time during the broadcast. All right,
Jesus
just type.
Christ, that's getting out of control, man. I remember when that list of names was like 3 people long.
The staff has grown.
The staff
Oh my
has
goodness!
grown.
And I haven't even mentioned
you-
King Shark 49.
You keep your staff to yourself there, pal.
Whoa.
Hey, John.
Whoa.
Hey, John.
Hey John. Hey John. Have you seen his wife? Ay ay ay. Anyways, listen to Canadian Robot giggle over there. Oh my goodness.
Is there anything else to really that you wanted to like talk about or highlight in this game? You know, it's the typical thing of, you know, a game that the Sharks lose 3-1. We talk for 2 hours. A game
You're like
5-4, we're like in and out in like 40 minutes. So
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those games where they played very well. You know, they had some hiccups, Ron. But then you can also say, well, so did Torrey Krug almost put it in his own net as Rask was being pulled. I mean, that would have been
That was funny.
that would have been Mark Bergevin all over again, which I would have thought would be priceless. I will say this as we kind of change subjects. So how AJ was saying how that you should just have home and away. You know, I stumbled across this on NHL.com, and it's a hoodie, but I was just thinking, you know, this isn't actually too bad.
Hold on. Where do I order one of these now? Because I would order one of those. That's nice.
That's a nice advertisement for shop.nhl.com.
Look at
For that looked pretty awesome. I think it's only $120.
We need some
Only.
colors to it.
Yeah. So I thought that looked pretty cool. Just an idea out there, Sharks. You know, just throwing that out there.
$120 costs $12 to manufacture.
Right. Right. See how that works.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a look at the standings now as I use the little screen share on here. All right. We're looking at so that actually should, let me reload this here. LA should be at 24 now because of their damn shootout win. Yes. By the way, thank you, Steve Mason, for giving a nice choke job there with 1:10 left and losing in the shootout. San Jose now leaps over Arizona and Vancouver at 20 wins with 9 rows.
Also, the game in hand on Vancouver.
Yes, which is huge. They're even with games with the Coyotes, so they have the edge on that with points in the ROWs. So now they're in a good spot. Would be closer if Philly could just have their goalie close their pads a little bit better.
Yeah, no.
Jesus Christ, who the fuck put Dallas this high at this point?
Who right? And Chicago is 9 points back and clinging on to the number 2 wild card spot. It's crazy. And then look at Nashville's hanging on for dear life too at 23. Who's texting somebody?
Sorry.
So, all right, well, that's odd, but you know, we're like we said, we're only we're what, barely a third into the season here, or no, we're almost
not even a quarter.
Yeah, we're almost at the quarter pole, so I'm sure things will shake out. You have to think that Anaheim is going to figure it out pretty soon, and hopefully.
I thought they had.
Yeah, it's so funny. LA is literally having the season I thought Anaheim, is literally having the season I thought LA was going to have. That's very odd. And speaking of Vancouver, just a quick shout out. I mean, I know he's not watching. He probably doesn't. He has no idea about this. But one of my, Eric and I, we've mentioned it before on occasion. But at least for me, one of my favorite radio stations is Vancouver TSN 1040, and they've apparently let go of one of their best, guys, Jeff Patterson.
What?
Yeah, that was came out earlier this afternoon. I don't know if it was a budgetary thing or what it is, but he tweeted it. If you want to follow the guy, he's awesome. He's at Patterson Jeff. But it's just really depressing because he used to do a lot of the post-game for the Vancouver Canucks. And while I am in no way, shape, or form a Canucks fan, it was just an all-around great show. It was something that you wish that the Sharks had, and you would come to be informed a lot more than you would listening to anything around here. I mean, the guy really knows his stuff. So that's kidding. That's a bit of a bummer. I'll still be listening to Sakaris and Price and probably Rintoul and Baker, but yeah, to see Patterson go, because Patterson he'd answer tweets on the air, and he would talk any hockey. He was all about hockey fans. If you had a question about Winnipeg or the Stars or the Lightning or whatever, if you had a comment that was, irrelevant to something that he was discussing about the Canucks, which I'm more than happy to discuss it and talk about it. So just, I hope he finds work really fast. I can't imagine him not, and I would love it if it was in the Bay Area. But
same here. He was
awesome.
He's a great host and reporter. I don't know what the heck Bell Media or TSN 1040 is doing, because that's a huge loss. I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me.
It makes no sense to do that in the middle of the season too. So I'm wondering if there's something on the back. But just reading his tweet, and he says he's angry and confused, but most of all saddened. Covering the Canucks on a daily basis was a dream job, and as a kid, always wanted to be a broadcast crew, and off and on for 15 seasons. That's like getting rid of. I won't say getting rid of Remenda, but that's
oh man, let's not start beating that drum again.
Says the one who was beating it the most to his BFF.
Of course. If I'm going to beat that drum, I'm going to beat it to the person responsible.
Oh, my gosh. Right. Speaking of which, have you heard from him since we rolled?
So, I'm sorry, what?
Have you heard from Mr. Tatoris?
My BFF?
Yeah.
My BFF since what?
Since we bowled.
Oh, since we bowled. No, I have not. No, unless you count the romantic weekend in Tahoe last weekend.
Wait.
Kidding. Let it go.
I thought you guys are besties now. You guys aren't like having dinner together or anything?
No, not yet.
We're waiting for an answer. So what's this? Did you win a trip from Tatora?
No, it was a joke. I went to Tahoe for the weekend with my wife, and and that was the whole thing. Every time I sent like a photo from Tahoe, I was gonna like ping you guys on it and go, hey, here with my BFF in Tahoe. But although the funny thing is, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Harrah's or Harvey's in South Lake, but we were staying there, and Harvey's has a sports bar, pretty cool sports bar actually, just huge ass flat panels everywhere, and so it's coming up on a pregame show, so it's hop in there, and I'm like, okay, talking to the bartender, going, okay, what screens are the Sharks games going to be on? And he's like, whichever ones you want, man. And I was like, oh, well, I'll go with all of them because there's nothing else going on. But I switched the one that I'm watching, and he turns around and he goes, yeah. He goes, I just looked at the thing. There really is nothing going on. He's like, a couple of them I'm going to leave on ESPN, but yeah, we'll throw on the Sharks games on all the screens. Okay, no problem. Sitting there, I get my beer, waiting on my appetizer, and what happens? They run the damn commercial. And people start doing this to me in the bar. They're going,
of course.
Hey! Oh, dude.
I know you!
Dude, I was laughing so hard. I'm like, oh, my God. I swore that we had a different feed. I thought it was going to be like the Detroit feed or something. But it was hysterical. Now. It was hysterical.
Come on now.
That's my cute little story, and the fact that I went 0 on my sports bets. Didn't hit a fucking one.
No.
Kicked ass at blackjack and just crapped. I bet the Jets and I lost. Although to say I was pretty hammered by the time I made that bet. And then I bet 3 teams, 3 football games, and a 3-game parlay yesterday, and or on Sunday. It's like I bet Seattle gave up 3 points. I bet on the Broncos gave up 6, and bet on the Raiders gave up 3. Every one of those very winnable fucking games, and just shit the bed. But if you look, yesterday was fucking opposite day in the NFL. Just about every fucking team that was supposed to win lost. And let's be honest, that fucking Beckham had a touchdown. The Patriots should have lost. That was a fucking touchdown. I don't care what anybody says, assholes. But anyway, I digress. Let's get back to hockey.
Well, which kind of leads me to a semi-version of Ian's Hockey 101.
All right.
Don't bet on sports.
Don't bet on sports. There you have it.
But if you were, how do you tell the odds in hockey? I mean, how does that work?
Oh, you're gonna ask me about betting?
Well, I mean, you know what?
I mean,
there really
ask
aren't.
because it's really popular when we listen to TSN 1040. I mean, every half hour it seems like 19 plus to play. Know your limit, play within it.
Yeah. No, for the most part, it's. I mean, very rarely are you going to see like a point spread. Mm-hmm. It's usually just whether the game's even or minus, like the Detroit game. The Sharks were the Sharks and the Red Wings were both minus 110. So basically, to win $100, you had to bet 110. That's how you get your money. But like yesterday, when I bet the Raiders, that was actually even. So bet 25, I was going to win 50. Whereas other ones, I believe it was minus 110. So on that, it was bet $110 and get 100 back. Same. Let me see. I can show you here. Still have these stupid fucking tickets, these sons of bitches. Okay, so the Seahawks were minus 110 on that, giving up 3. So $25 was going to pay back $47.50, right? So that's the deal on that. But if you look at the Raiders, that one is listed as even.
Okay, so, yeah. With where I could see, I can understand that with the point spreads and all. I just was like, I see San Jose minus 110 at Boston. I'm like, huh? What are we doing? Counting shots?
Boston was the does.
I mean, I just was like, why is it so high? That's why I always got confused by it.
Yeah, no. The minus 110, yeah, that's all that means is that you got to bet 110 to win 100. That's all it is. If you see minus 120, then you got to bet 120 to win 100.
Gotcha.
Right? That's how you figure it out. That's all.
Gotcha.
Although one time I do remember being in Tahoe for, I want to say, Game 4 versus Detroit. I believe it was the game where Patty scored on his knee. I don't know if you guys remember.
Game 5 when he scored the series winner.
Oh, okay, that's what it was. So me and my buddy are in Tahoe, and at that point I was wrecked, and I said fuck it, I'm going up. I tell my buddy, I'm like, I'm putting $20 on the Red Wings, and he goes, the fuck you betting on the Red Wings for? I go, because either way, I'm a winner. I'm like, if Detroit wins, I get paid. If the Sharks win, fuck the Red Wings, we're on to the next round. I don't care. I'm like, that's worth $20 to me.
Damn, what were you on?
The line I was seeing for tonight was the Bruins at minus 130, Sharks at plus 110.
Oh, at plus 110?
Yeah, that's what I see.
Wow, so Boston was a pretty heavy favorite. Yeah, no, I'd had a lot of vodka cranberries and that night. Fun. When the drinks are free, you got to partake, and a lot of really good tequila. I remember that.
Oh my goodness! All right, let's take it to the tweets and see what we have here.
We have tweets.
We have tweets.
I'm hoping we do.
Oh wait a minute! I'm sure Slushy Jake has something to say. Where's he at?
Right? Where is Slushy Jake? For that matter, where's Chester Chivo and Gen X? Where are these guys?
Well, I believe Gen X has more games going. Remember, this was an early game. He has, you know how into hockey that guy is. He only gets on when it's late at night. That's true. He's got Game Center everything. You see, Jake says better game 2010 Game 5 versus Detroit or 2011 Game 7 versus Detroit. I'll be honest with you, I'd have to like watch replays of it. I don't even remember.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, like all those games just bleed together after a while for me. There's certain moments like I can like just like I said, I remember Marlowe on his knee getting off the shot, but I didn't remember. I couldn't tell you what year that was in. I knew it was versus Detroit. I thought it was Game 4 or 5. I wasn't sure, but whatever. And then, but he is saying, would you be comfortable playing Vancouver in the first round? Because we're just going by the standings that are currently happening, so that would be the opponent. And abso-fucking-lutely, I would love to see Vancouver in the first round.
Vancouver's probably one of the biggest pretenders in the West right now. The Sharks aren't far behind, but Vancouver by far is a pretender.
Yeah, they're like the Denver Broncos of the NHL right now.
It's crazy. You know what? I'm going through the tweets as well, not just for us. James Duthie had a thing on the Twitter machine saying, today, this has just been a brutal day. A lot of quality people and good friends leaving. You'll be missed. So it sounds like TSN went and axed a bunch of personalities.
Yeah, it does sound like they cleaned house today, but the problem is, at least for me, why do you do that? I mean, let's be honest. TSN kind of known as like a hockey, media group. Why do you do that 20 games into a season?
The thing is with TSN too is the thing you have to remember is that TSN, on the radio side anyway. I mean, Sportsnet's kind of always been king up here as far as radio goes. So TSN's always had to try and fight their way into that, and since they've lost the NHL rights, I mean, yeah, they show a lot of regional games, but it hasn't been the same for them since they lost the big television rights. And
everything shifted to Rogers or something.
Yeah, well, because Rogers.
Rogers took over everything.
Oh, okay. Wow, what a shocker!
It's down to regional rights right now, and that's. I know that they're probably hurting for money, and Bell Media wastes no time.
Then I hope Patterson lands a deal with Rogers if he doesn't get hired down here.
Well, I look at it this way. There's a lot of good people then available, and again, we don't know the whole list, but there's a lot of people now available to, maybe go over to Secaucus, New Jersey at the NHL Network to be available, because they could use the help, and so can NBCSN. If they're really available, then I would say NBC, if you really want to be a hockey juggernaut and provide the best coverage. I know you already got Bob McKenzie helping you out, and I'm sure you got Darren Drager right behind him. Why not? Let's do it.
Super smart for them, picking up the TSN guys that don't do, that are locked in and aren't doing national telecasts. Sorry.
In Comcast Sportsnet tweeting out video of talking to Marlowe after the game and putting up a screen grab that literally you could like meme or caption that says, "You still want to trade me, bitches?"
Yeah, I mean, it looks like there's a lot of not just with TSN, but it looks like it's the entire Bell Media that went through, and that's wow. That's sad. They even canceled one of their longtime shows off the record on TSN.
Oh wow!
Landsberg's
been there forever.
Right, I think he's been there like for almost 20 years.
Yeah, he's been there for. I mean, he used to be just like on. It was before it was SportsCenter, it was Sports Desk, and used to be on Sports Desk like when I was a kid. Not to age myself, but yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like Landsberg will stay on to produce shorter segments to be aired during the network's nightly shows. Kind of sounds like what they did with Outside the Lines for a little while. They had it be like a weekly thing, then they shrunk it down to a segment, and then they brought it back. But I guess yeah, that's crazy.
In case you weren't paying attention, Jeff Patterson just tweeted, "For sale, one used TSN jacket, medium, price negotiable."
Oh man.
At least he's having a kick, but yeah, you feel for these guys, and it would be great to jump all over them. Yeah.
Sorry.
What? What, Ian? Come on.
Oh, just some tweets.
Oh. Hey, AJ, they let go Matt Baker too.
Get the hell out. Are you serious?
He tweeted 4 hours ago, barely been 2 hours, but overwhelmed by all the support. Thanks, everyone.
Wow.
It is high. Looking forward to the next chapter.
Oh, man. That sucks.
Wow.
I mean, him I could see, not because he's not good, but if you looked at the time slot, he was usually the kind of, clean up the bullpen guy who would, he would come on at midnight, and sometimes it would it would be that he actually was only being broadcast on their on the app. Like, you can only listen to him on a mobile device or through an app, whereas they would kick over to a national broadcast if you actually were listening on a on a radio.
Yeah.
So which is too bad because he was a huge Niners fan too.
I was just gonna say he's a Niners fan too, so that's a bummer. Wow. To which I think Jay and Dan are very glad that they left for Fox Sports 1. I think.
They're untouchable.
Yeah,
they're a national treasure.
Who?
Jay Onright and Dan O'Toole. They used to do the 2 a.m. Sports Center up in Canada, and those guys.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
Oh man, they have a podcast. If you're looking for like an extra podcast to throw in your rotation, check out the Jay and Dan podcast. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah, send me a link. Yeah, I'll take a look.
I mean,
it's on iTunes.
You gotta send me a link. I don't know how to spell these names.
Let me focus the camera on Ian, and I'm just gonna say, experience Regina.
That's right. Oh man. Do you want to take it to the chat here, just because Laura was bringing up some interesting stuff about the Zubris.
Oh, thank you.
Training camp, or PTO rather, training camp. So the rumor, I guess she was having a conversation with Bench and Sharks Radar on the Twitters, and I guess
conversation with Bench on purpose. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I'm sorry. It was a joke. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. That was just for Jake.
Zubris being brought in to join their. Zubris brought in to join their practice. Smith isn't good enough for his system. It's 80% done. Thoughts?
If it helps, it helps. If it doesn't, let him go.
I mean, that's great and all, and I like how they're looking for people, but aren't there any somewhat decent defensemen out there that's
Defense. I want defense.
Yeah, I also want Haley and Lurk off the team too.
Yes.
Okay, I could deal with Haley and as much as I'm gonna probably make Wendell mad, but Lurk I'm just not sure on. And for that,
what the hell's going on with Goodrow?
Yeah, I don't know. He's been doghoused apparently.
See, I swear to God, it seems like every fucking time we get a new coach or somebody gets doghoused. Obviously, Ben Smith has been doghoused. Goodrow's been doghoused. We all remember that Daryl Sutter completely had Korolyuk in the doghouse forever, and then Ron Wilson turns around, puts him with Marlowe and Solani with Corky, and all of a sudden Corky had one of the best seasons he's ever had. So I don't get it. Some coaches, I guess, just don't know how to use talent in the way that I don't know. I mean, I understood that Corky was not Sutter's kind of player,
right? But
it was just, come on, man. How do you just not figure out a way to use him?
And is it that Smith isn't fitting into the system, or is he still because he took that puck to the ear and he was never really the same after that? I know he's not listed as injured, but
I just look at it
15 staples in the side of the head. I don't know.
Yeah, but no, I'm talking before that. I mean, didn't he only start 1 or 2 games, and it was after it was after the Couture injury and after certain things, and after Torres was out. So it's a case of he wasn't even on lines on a consistent line in training camp. So it just makes you wonder, this was the guy that was slated to be the fourth line center, kind of a banger type guy. Let's be honest, wouldn't you rather have Desjardins over Smith at this point? I mean, at least maybe Desi was going to get more time. I don't know, but it just drives me nuts.
I don't think that the Chicago had such cap issues though that Desi had no choice to sign for what he signed for. I think the Sharks probably overpay Desjardins if he's still here.
Oh well, because that's what they do.
Yeah, I mean that's the only thing I can say, looking at it. Are they firing all the writers too? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. It's even CTV Vancouver sports director Perry Sokolowski, who was a frequent guest on Sekeres and Price, was one of 18 Bell Media staffers let go in Vancouver Tuesday. This is crazy. I've never seen such big layoffs nationwide.
Yeah.
And we
Intercom, take note. You can do it too. You can do it too, Intercom.
Well, it makes me wonder if they're going to just broadcast they're obviously everyone's flagship stations are in Toronto, so I just wonder if they're just gonna basically just broadcast Toronto content over instead of the Vancouver content and just have the one, you know what I mean, to kind of reduce costs that way.
Well, I look at it this way, Dean. If they can't stand the craziness coverage of Toronto sports on, especially the Leafs all across Canada, and for that matter in the U.S., wait till they have all the news centered out of Toronto. I mean,
it's already that way anyway. Leafs are already Leafs. It's already that way anyway. It's you get Leafs all the time, no matter what.
Let's get back to the game. Did we see some line changes, some promotions, some demotions today? Seems like Wingles was kind of set down, looking like he was on a fourth line, and Nieto seemed to have been promoted to the third line.
He looked like he was getting a look at on the second line with Marleau and Ward.
Yeah.
And I think that was just a cover for Goldobin. But
would have liked to have seen Donskoy get a look on the second line.
Yeah, me too. I like Donskoy though, man. He it's like him and Carlson, man. They chase the puck and they bang and they go to the dirty areas, and you need that on the third line. So I'd rather Donskoy there than Nieto the more that I think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Although I did want to say I really liked what I saw from Hertl tonight. He seemed very tenacious tonight. He was looking for it. He might not be on the score sheet, but man, did he come close a few times.
Yeah, a guy who was, again, super sour on in the offseason. That is like one of my favorite players again.
Yeah.
I mean, where are we at this point with our development with the kids that are up here right now? Because Wingles has had a rough time.
Mm-hmm.
I wish he would bang the body a little bit more than he was to contribute a little bit more. Long Beach native, I mean...
Drink.
Right?
Drink. Long Beach, drink.
I mean, we're getting to the point of how many times are we going to call him a Tory 2.0?
As long as he keeps playing like it. I'm going to keep calling him.
And it's tough because at this point I don't feel like Wingles and development should be used in the same sentence. I mean, this guy's a full-time NHLer at this point. There's nothing, he is what he is at this point. And yeah, I mean, we need more from him. I don't think he needs to put the puck in the net, and I get that. This guy should be a 20-25 goal scorer in the NHL. But a lot of the intangibles are there, though. I mean, could he hit a few more? But I still feel like I'm not completely sour on his game. I just think he needs to put the puck in the net.
Well, I go back to a point that we had talked about before is with Couture being out, and and obviously I'm still saying he probably doesn't come back until after
Christmas.
Yeah, I'm saying Christmas. Hopefully we get him back by New Year's, but I don't know. I still kind of go back to when Couture went out, you could have plugged one person into that, move Marleau to center,
Mm-hmm.
bring someone up, plug them into that spot, leave the other 3 lines alone, let them try to find some chemistry. And we've seen that before, whether it was Wilson and for a time T-Mac, where it was throw all the names in the hat, pick them out one by one to start fussing with the lines after 5 minutes into a game. And we're seeing that with DeBoer. And I understand that, yes, you do, in fact, at times need to shake it up. But I think you got to at least, do it. It's like they used to talk about, where it's, you take them in 5-game segments. Yeah. Give them 5 games to try to find some chemistry, find the looks, instead of just giving them 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think we can all agree that there's, Brown is a 4th liner. He's not moving.
No.
I think at this point, Goldie should never be higher than 3rd line, if that. Well, Goldie should be in the AHL.
The AHL right now.
Yeah, but if you're going to have them up there, there's just certain guys that you just, just based on looks and whatnot, I'll take Hertl on the 3rd line, centering Wingels, and I guess I'm not even sure at this point. It's to that point that we've had it before, where you have 2 linchpins on each line, where it's Pavelski and Thornton on the top line and someone else. It's Marleau and Couture on the 2nd line and someone else, and Hertl and Wingels on the 3rd line and someone else. So,
and even then, I think the 2nd line is still pretty the 2nd line, I think, is the most solid line on the Sharks when Couture is healthy, because you have Couture, Marleau, and Ward, and I think that's just a perfect line. I don't think there's, you don't need to interchange anything there.
Yeah. What say you, Eric? Are you falling asleep again?
Huh? What? No, that's my whole thing is why are these guys up here if they're not ready or they are just not contributing?
We need them.
Well, that's the point. Is that if we need them? Unfortunately, here's the thing: we have the guys that are down with the Barracuda are worse. I mean, we're supposed to be
well, that's why they're down there.
I understand that, but I mean, the whole point of it was that we need to, retool on the fly. You need to retool what you're retooling.
Yeah, no, that I'll give you. I still don't understand.
That takes time, though.
Yeah, but it would start with a new fucking head coach and a new system, a new development system down there. And it would also, of course, help if this organization knew that it could at least hit a defensive draft pick in the top 3 rounds once a decade.
Here's the thing, though, with that. You have to remember, it takes time because, especially when you're drafting out of Europe and you're drafting out of the Canadian Hockey League, that the guys take time to trickle over to the AHL. And when the Sharks really kind of turned it on, went back to drafting, not selling off all their draft picks to win now, I mean, we're still waiting for that to really fully flush through the system at this point. So, I mean, there's still some time there's still some patience that needs to be there to see what some of these players do turn into. So we do have a lot of decent prospects in the CHL. I mean, it looks like the 2014 draft, I don't think we missed a pick in that draft. So far, with the way players seem to be coming along. So it'll be interesting to see, when those players transition and they are getting into the AHL, how many of them make it, how they do, and then we can have a better understanding of where our prospect pool is at.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested. I'm definitely excited to see what Jeremy Waugh turns into. I'm excited to see what Timo turns into. Of course, we're going to have to wait 4 or 5 years for it to happen, but
yeah, I mean, it's going to take time.
Yeah. I just keep going back to the last 10 years and looking at our defensive draft picks and going, oh, we were so close. like if just one of those guys had panned out to what they were supposed to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we can always go, like I will always do, go back to the 2 drafts early in the Sharks' existence where they selected Pat Falloon, and the next pick was by New Jersey for Scott Niedermayer.
Yep.
And then in the 94 draft, we traded down 4 spots to get Sergei Makarov so we can draft Victor Kozlov, and Hartford could take some guy named Pronger.
Yeah, but that's all stuff way back when, and that's one of those things that we've discussed it. It's so easy to judge in hindsight. Now, granted, like we'd pointed out before, they need to get a better batting average.
I could pick the number on a roulette wheel after the spin.
Exactly. I'm really good at that. I'm like 100% at that.
I mean,
it's gambling for billionaires. Like, that's what the draft is for the NHL.
Big bucks, no whammies, no whammies.
Yeah, that's the problem. We've gotten whammied on defensive picks way too much.
No, I agree.
Exactly. And then it turns out, because we don't have much talent, we end up having this guy.
Oh, man.
Want to sell tickets.
Man. Let it go already. It was funny the first time, man. Just stop it. Actually, I can't say that because the AOL joke will never die.
Right.
Exactly.
I was going to say, you can't really... So Slushy's just brought up that Scarbosa got called up to the Ducks. All right, let's talk about Scarbosa for a second. Let's start with this Jamie McGinn trade that Sharks fans are so
bent out about.
Jamie McGinn's on what, like his third team since we traded, second team since we traded him?
Yes.
I think the reason, though, that the Sharks fans, for the most part, were so bent out about that is that it was the return. Return really did nothing, and McGinn at that time was playing really well. And, of course, that's when you hope, if you're going to move somebody, you move them when you're going to get the most value. But you just look at what the return was. If you deal somebody, I expect the return to be just as good.
I liked Winnick. It was unfortunate we just couldn't get him under contract for the price that he wanted, because I liked Winnick a lot. It was just, it's a gap team. To me, that's a mulligan, though, because everyone cried about Jamie McGinn. They cried about Scarbosa, and, what's Scarbosa done? Nothing.
Well,
he got called up as an injury replacement to the Ducks. Yay.
Then I have a question for you. Under the Wilson era, what do you think is not the best trade that the Sharks have made for the Sharks?
Okay.
But what do you think has been the most balanced trade, like overall value for value? Are you going to talk like Burns means as much to the Sharks as Coyle Setaguchi and the number one pick who turned into what's his name, Hamilton Thompson something?
Yeah,
I can't remember. But it's like, has that that type of trade? Has that been like the best balanced trade where both teams really got what they were looking for? I mean, you could look and say actually the most balanced trade so far has been what Boston got for Jones, because the Sharks got exactly what they wanted and Boston got exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, totally. I mean, shoot, what else could we say? I mean, you want to go with Kiprusoff or essentially Vlasic?
Yeah, at the time, I mean,
at the time,
see, to me though, that's a. But see, the problem with that though, to me, is it's a little hard to judge on that because we didn't know what Vlasic. You didn't know that's who you were actually getting.
Right.
You were just getting a pick. But when it's like, Heatley for Havlat or something. When it's garbage for garbage.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Heatley for Havlat was
pretty much.
We gave them garbage. We took garbage back.
Yeah.
At that point,
cheaper garbage.
Exactly. I mean, that's a win. I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to think. For value, Yeah, I don't know. Seems like it goes one way or the other pretty viciously.
Well, then I'll throw this out to you guys.
Okay.
What do you think is the best trade in Sharks history?
So it doesn't matter if it's under Lombardi.
It doesn't matter if it's Lombardi, Ferreira, the three-headed monster, whoever.
Yeah, it has to be. Yeah, it has to be. It's
not even close.
Yeah.
You'd go with Joe?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you'd have to.
I see, and for Joe for sure, but you also have to think about the Burns trade. Because
Burns trade's up there, but it's not. Yeah. It's not Joe Thornton. Joe Thornton is Joe Thornton.
Mean, if you look at what, Primo to me was that was. To me, that was nothing. That was like addition by subtraction type of a thing. So for me, it was really giving up Stewart and Sturm for Thornton. And at that time, our defense, was a lot better. So it's that idea that you could afford to give up a Stewart a little bit, and then it's kind of like, is Thornton better than Sturm? Well, yeah, by a fucking landslide. So I definitely go with Thornton. Stewart kind of hurt a little bit. I think I maybe would have went like Sturm, Primo, and maybe a second rounder or a third rounder, but no, Ian, yeah,
you had to give up something.
Thornton's, yeah, well, and like we said, Thornton is, that's number one. There's no really debating that.
No.
But doing like top, they're like the second or third one, for what we got and everything, I think you could make an argument for what they gave up to get Boyle, and for what he brought to the team for a while. Boyle, I think, was pretty significant. Another one that I actually really liked.
Boyle's a good one too. Yeah, that's a
yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the one that I actually really liked at the time, like on paper, might be my third favorite trade, but Solani for Friesen and Shields, because I couldn't stand Shields at the time. I never liked Shields. I was never a Shields fan, and at the point that we were getting rid of Friesen, Solani was still a sniper, and he was in his prime, and the fact that it just never worked out here was such a bummer. And at that point, Friesen had the wheels, but he was an older version at that point of Nieto. It was just all wheels, and he could get so many breakaways, and he could never find the top corner. He could never find that 5-hole. It would invariably just hit the goalie right in the crest. So on paper, I thought getting Solani, putting him with Nolan, oh my God! You have the power forward, the speedy sniper. You give them, a good center, a Damphus, whoever you want to put him in there with. But holy crap, that line should have been so much more productive. On paper, they should have been. They were so much more productive than they were on the ice.
You kind of just hope that you kind of wish that Teemu kind of had his knee replacement, while he was still in San Jose, because he even said it himself. He would have retired after the canceled season if they were playing that year, because his knee was so out of whack. And the Sharks already knew about that, and I don't think he played for like a couple weeks after his trade because of it. The one
then
thing
again, though, Friesen has a cup.
That's true. Friesen has a cup. My other one, what I would have said would be. I'll let Ian snicker. Go.
No, I hate that. Like, that player has a cup.
Oh no, I'm just saying that.
Hear me out. Let me rant.
It worked out for him. That's all I meant.
Let Ian rant. Go ahead, Ian.
Just saying it worked out for him. That's
no. I get where you're coming from, but it seems like, you know what I mean? Like, the Sharks don't win, and it's Thornton and Marleau. But then, like, when a team does win, it's like, the team. Like, it just, like, you can't have it both fucking ways.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. My whole point was that it ended up working out best for Friesen. And if I remember correctly, I think Friesen did end up having a really significant goal.
He did.
Yeah. He had the cup-winning goal.
He had the cup-winning goal, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it worked out pretty good for him. I'm glad, I felt happy for him, because I was a Friesen fan when he was here. But as we were talking about, just with the trades, I thought Solani for Shields and Friesen, I thought we had fleeced Anaheim in that deal. Now, Jake is saying, what the fuck, when the Sharks made the Thornton trade, their defense got weaker. Okay, yes,
that's true.
You lost somebody. The defense, okay, it got weaker, but you have to put the trade in context. The defense, say, got 10% weaker, while the offense got 80% stronger.
Yeah.
So you have to take it in context.
And you have to take into consideration the time frame when this trade was made. So yeah, the defense
10-game losing streak.
Yeah, no, but the defense got weaker. But the NHL is transitioning from people who could water ski into the defensive zone to people that had to skate. And the Sharks had a decent young defense core with young defensemen on the rise that they were banking on fleshing out. The thing with the Thornton trade is Thornton trade made the Sharks like a legitimate team. They were no longer this scrappy, happy to be their team. Like the Sharks were never, really expected to do anything, and that changed when Thornton came. The Sharks became a truly elite team in this league, and they never, if that trade's never made, we're still Columbus, or maybe not Columbus, but you know what I mean? Like we're that second tier of team. Florida, Minnesota, Nashville. That's where we end up. We were never up with the New Yorks and the Detroits, and Joe Thornton changed all of that.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. Thornton trade is number one. My number two, and AJ, you might maybe agree or disagree. Ulf Dahlin for Mike Lawler and Doug Smolik. I thought he was an integral part of that '94 team, and he stayed around for a few years. He eventually ended up going for part of the deal for Ed Belfour.
Yeah, no.
I thought that was one of the guys early on in the Sharks' existence that looked like a key contributor.
So let's flip this around. Which trade, did you think that was going to be good and ended up being garbage?
Oh boy, that's a good one. Let's see. Hold on.
Trade or acquisition?
Give me a minute. Oh
All right.
man. Now I'm like, oh shit. Now I'm like wishing I had like a list in front of me.
Let's see. There was the Michael Hanzus trade. He ended up winning a cup.
Uh-huh.
Well, hold on.
No, I mean to the Sharks. To the Sharks.
Well, yeah.
To
Well,
the Sharks.
Belfour.
Yeah, Belfour for sure.
I mean, but the whole problem is that you have to. The thing you really have to predicate this on is, are we including the Bill Guerin and Campbell and the rentals?
Anything you want.
Any trade, yeah.
Well, then I would I'd probably say Belfour, because that trade. You had, once again, just as you were talking about how Thornton made the team so legitimate at that point, and which I in fact, let me take that back, made them authentic, genuine, the real deal, bona fide, anything but using the damn L word that everybody overuses.
Okay.
But it made them the real deal, and Belfour, after Urbe, of course, had his like wall season, and that it was just that. But that was
his
just
dog bit his hand.
Yeah, it was just,
man.
But Urbe had his. He's going to be beloved all because of the '94 season, the like wall thing. And then you look after that, and whether it was Chris Terwary or Wade Flaherty, Kelly Rudy. Mike Vernon, I believe Vernon came after Belfour, but it's just that case of everybody was. I just remember everybody losing their shit about getting Belfour.
Yeah.
And then just how it just within 3 weeks or whatever, it just went right down the shitter. And so you saw fans on such a high and then such a low, and you didn't see that necessarily with. The fans were definitely excited with Campbell, especially when he does his spinorama versus the Canadiens, but it wasn't nearly as exciting as Belfour was.
Yeah, Guerin had a hat trick, I think, in one of his first games as a Shark, and then went all the way down to the point where his face was bloodied in that game 4 where Rivet shoots the puck into the stands, and then we get a power play. They get a power play in overtime. Toughest one, yeah. I would kind of have to say Campbell, only because we gave up so much to Buffalo.
So much to get him.
And then for him to be our offensive-minded defenseman, and then we have to trade so much to Tampa to get Boyle.
We robbed Tampa. We stole Boyle in the night.
Well, it also Boyle so wanted to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, exactly.
But the combination, if you think about it, the goal was to get a number one offensive-minded defenseman. So we gave up 2 firsts, Steve Bernier, Ty Wiesert, Matt Carl. 5 pieces right there to go with a guy that you would keep for a while, along with the guy that decided to, say, see ya, I'm going to go win a cup with Chicago and then enjoy the sunshine in Florida.
Yeah, but I mean, getting Bull, yeah, they gave up a shitload to get him. But if you look at the pieces they gave away, none of those pieces were number ones by any way
No.
stretch of the imagination. I mean, Steve Bernier,
Third line player.
yes, a third line player at best, and he had his one shining moment as a Shark, of course, is going to be the one-handed goal on the right corner of the net. And Matt
Which he
Carl
tried so hard to repeat over and over and
Yep.
over again.
and as for Carl, I was kind of bummed to lose him because
Well, he had so much potential.
exactly, but I don't think he ever got there. But
He's a
I mean, you
3-4.
could bring up silly ones. I'm kind of looking back on a few things, and it's like Ragnarsson for Dan McGillis.
Did we trade for Craig Janney, or was Craig Janney a free agent signing?
We
'Cause
traded
I
for
remember-
Craig Janney.
Did we trade for Craig Janney? That was one of my biggest disappointments. So I
Oh,
thought
that
we were
was-
really so set with Craig Janney and nothing.
Oh God, that was so
Well,
awful. What about here's now talk about garbage for garbage. Chad Weissman for Nils Ekman.
Hey, Eki had a decent couple of years with us.
Let's
Well,
see,
I think anybody playing with Joe Thornton's going to have a decent year or two.
That's
And
true.
yet we stole a second rounder from Pittsburgh for Ekman.
Yep.
I mean
That's weird.
that's the funniest thing of it all.
It's funny. I was listening to let me think. I was listening to it was Steve Dangle podcast today, and it was a few episodes behind. But they were talking about how a second round pick is like chicken because everyone's worth a second round pick apparently, and everything tastes like chicken.
I like it.
Oh my God.
Well, what about trading Sundstrom to Montreal for Jeff Hackett and then immediately turning around pairing Hackett with Gilson to get Kyle McLaren? So you essentially traded Sundstrom for McLaren.
That's not terrible.
Yeah, it's not terrible,
I think
especially
so,
since
too.
Jeff Gilson, talk about a guy who never lived up to potential.
Yeah.
So let's see.
That's what I'm saying.
Janney was traded to the Blues in a dispute over playing time, and also I think Shanahan had a little something to do with that. If we all
Yes.
I just thought of the best subject for Ian's Hockey 101.
All right.
All right, I'm putting you on the spot, but let's hear it, dude. Ian's Hockey 101, where Ian explains what the fuck future considerations means.
Oh, okay. Future considerations is easy. Basically, you can't just give a player away for nothing. So future considerations is your way around that. Future considerations could be basically, if you have a player that you might put on waivers, maybe you throw it to them for, a seventh round pick or something. It could be basically it's an IOU. It's a favor. It's not bindable. It's just because you can't trade someone for nothing. It's like when we, acquired Nabokov for future considerations. It was just so he could retire here, and we owe Tampa a favor down the road.
Okay, yeah, we
That's all it really
have
is.
to give Tampa a reach around at some point.
Yeah,
down the line.
exactly. It's not bindable. Like, you can't go to the NHL and say, well, we had future considerations, and they just should have traded him to us. No, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
It's just something. You can't trade someone for nothing, and you can't trade someone for cash. So future
I hear you.
considerations is how you get around that.
I gotcha. On the Twitter machine, Jake is saying, Carl Yukin pricing for Mark Bell. Okay.
There we go. Nice one, Jake.
That.
Nice one, Jake.
Bad.
Well done. Well done.
done.
And I remember how high fans were on Tom Pricing. There was a lot of fans who were really excited to see him. He was like one of the first real offensive defensemen that the Sharks had, that were so up on that. Well done, Jake. You just won Twitter for the night. And look who has finally decided to turn off Game Center and watch us. Our friend Generation X asking me, at what point will you recognize that giving up those bottom six guys for more top level guys is the problem? Interesting point.
Very good point.
Not wrong.
Yeah. Because you are giving up balance in the equation. But then again, see, that's the weird thing, though, because if you look at what Ian and I had talked about during the Pacific Division preview, was that we were both very interested in Calgary's blue line, that they looked like they had the best balance top to bottom.
Yeah.
Do they have anybody as good as Doughty? No, of course not. Hardly any team does. But their bottom pairing is much better, at least on paper. It's supposed to be much better than LA's. So it looked like they should have been the most balanced. Clearly, things haven't been working out in Calgary, but I understand that idea of you do have to have those guys on the bottom end. How many times have we seen? I mean, when Friesen got the goal for New Jersey, what line was he skating on? Wasn't he like on the third line at that point?
I think third line, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you look at like Uwe Krupp winning it for the Avalanche. He was like a fourth liner, but he gets that key goal. You know, it always seems that. I mean, I don't know, unless you're Sidney fucking Crosby or something, that it does a lot of times. It'll come down to some of those key goals. It's going to come from those third and fourth line no-name guys. Hell, look at what Mike Brown did versus LA in those first couple of games. Everybody was all up on Mike Brown.
That Torres, what was it? Torres, Brown, and Desjardins line, those first couple of games were phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right.
Just banging. It reminded me of like Daryl Sutter hockey back when he was with the Sharks. Just bangers. It was like, kind of have that Ricci, Sundstrom, Scott Thornton thing going on. Right?
I mean, it was just a nice touch to have in the fourth line, and that's what a fourth line is capable of doing. You can roll them, you can throw some pressure on your opponent's top lines. That's what we're gonna hope for when Torres gets back, and fingers crossed, hope he's disciplined. He did bowl, so I would assume that his knee is fine. So he should be more than rested and ready.
Yeah, he should be just ready to kick some ass in a very legal hitting kind of a way.
Yeah.
But that's, Gen X brings up a great point that, or at least all it did was trigger my thoughts of when are we going to get that third line that we used to have? Now, obviously, the game is different.
Back.
What?
I said when Couture's back. I liked our third line before Couture got hurt. It was the most happy I've been with our third line in a long time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Oh, totally. I think that the whole lineup was pretty smooth. I mean, we could always talk about Long Beach native.
Drink.
And
Gen X pointing it out. Top 6 gets you to the playoffs. The bottom 6 wins you the playoffs.
Exactly.
That's a great point. That should be on a shirt. That should be on a fucking sign in the Sharks dressing room.
We have a tweet here from
Douglason's office.
Right?
Yeah.
We have a tweet here at hockey_jerk. I swear that's not my other Twitter handle. Thoughts on adding Nieto to a package with Stalock for a 4-5 D-man?
Didn't we just talk about that? I swear to God, that you tweeted that, dude, because you said the exact fucking same thing when we first started.
I'm just saying.
Do it.
I'm glad there's another person thinking with me. I think that'd be a huge help.
Nieto and Stalock, if you could find a top 4 defenseman, not a 5, because we have enough of those. If you can find a top 4 that gives you some. Yeah, that can push someone that can push Dylan down. If you can find that guy, then you make that trade yesterday. But it comes down to the fact of Stalock and Nieto, they don't make enough money to get that guy, I don't think. Especially if you're paying Dylan $3.2 million.
Oh, God.
That's the thing. You're paying $3.2 million. You want somebody better than him. You think the Sharks are probably going to overpay like they tend to do, like they've proven with Braun and Dylan so far. So I'd love to find that guy. I don't know where that unicorn is. I'd love to put a saddle on him, but you're going to be hard-pressed. But I'd be more than happy giving up Stalock in Nieto. And you guys know I'm a Stalock fan, but I'd be more than happy to see Stalock and Nieto go for defensive depth, but I just don't know if the right guy is out there, especially salary-wise.
I don't mind the idea of Stalock going because I don't think he's here next year. I think that Grosnick's contract is the way it is for a reason. He has a 2-way deal this year. He has a 1-way deal next year. There's a reason for that. I don't mind Stalock going because I just don't think he's in the plans going forward.
That's in a combination of Nieto and Stalock would be about 2.3, 2.4 million. And to bring up, where are you? Where are you on GeneralManager.com? As I'm looking at, and Grosnick is 600,000.
Right.
That's nothing.
That's nothing. You can find a decent guy. Maybe there's even a decent guy out there that's a UFA. I mean,
the only hesitation I would have is that if Jones, heaven forbid, goes down, I mean, the season's probably toast anyway, I trust Stalock to carry the load better than I would Grosnick.
Yeah, that'll
absolutely. That's for sure.
Oh, Gen X just got into the good stuff. He says Marlowe, Stalock, and Stalock, Nieto, and 2 picks to Nashville for Shea Weber.
Done.
I would have said Stamkos.
Nope. Shea Weber.
I mean,
sold.
Oh boy. You know what? What does Weber? Okay, if you're on General Manager, what does Weber make, and how old is he?
Okay,
I don't care how old Weber is. I'd take him in a heartbeat.
If Weber is under 30, then yeah, I make that deal tomorrow. Although those 2 picks, I don't want to see them higher than like 3rd, but
Weber is 30 and is under contract through 2026 at 7.85 mil.
Done.
It would be the longest contract for Doug.
Which means it'll never happen. But then again, if he signed Dylan till like 2021, I mean,
yeah, hey.
Thing.
Can we throw Dylan in the deal too?
I mean, I don't even get that. Like, why you signed the worst defensive guy to the longest deal? What in the hell, man? And you overpaid on top of it. Now, granted, I didn't hear one person. Now, obviously, this is all we can judge this in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear one person barking when Vlasic got his extension. Nobody thought he was overpaid. Everybody thought that's a good extension. It's the right amount of time. And then that's the whole thing. Is like, okay, fuck, Wilson actually got that one right. You know, that was a great. Now people look at that Vlasic deal after a year or 2 out, and they go, oh my God, what a fucking steal. But it's because Vlasic developed. I don't know that Dylan is ever going to develop. I mean, geez. We've seen him now for a year as a Shark, and I don't know that Dallas was that up on him, no more than we were on Demers, but I still even in hindsight I didn't want to make that deal.
Yeah.
And I would like to mention that Joe Thornton with a goal and 2 assists wasn't one of the 3 stars of the night tonight.
Oh, here you go. Patrick is saying Patrick. Gen X is saying it doesn't matter. You're mortgaging the future for one guy. If you dump Marlowe, Stalock, Nieto, and 2 picks for Weber, mortgaging the future for one guy.
Yeah, I mean, but
it's not like
Weber.
Hey.
But
that's the whole thing. Mortgaging the future for one guy. Oh, you mean like Billy Guerin or Brian Campbell?
Yeah, but this is Shea Weber. I mean, this is not in the same stratosphere as those guys. Like,
well, that's what I mean though too. Is that we're also talking that the value of defensemen, especially high caliber defensemen, is so huge. You know, they're the highest paid guys for the most part. You know.
And thinking about it from this sense. Marlowe, will he be here after next season? Maybe. Will Stalock be here after next season?
No.
Probably not. Is Nieto going to amount to anything superb?
He might.
That's what I'm talking about. That's why I'm saying is that to me it's like it's those 2 picks. If they're lower round picks, then yeah, I'll make that trade.
Would you, if you had to, would you give up what the Sharks have left for early round in next year's draft which would be a second rounder for it. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be tough.
I would absolutely trade a 36-year-old Marlowe for a 30-year-old Shea Weber. It's not even.
Oh well, then yeah, of course.
Yeah, so you're giving up Marlowe, Nieto, Stalock, and a second round pick.
Mhm.
And it's also it's the idea too, is that you know exactly what you're getting with Shea Weber.
Exactly.
This is not a case of the potential of the what could be type of thing like you
Right.
saw with whether it was Matt Carl or Ty Wissert or whatever. This is a proven dude.
Yeah.
And hell, that would give you, oh my God, could you imagine? I mean, Weber and Vlasic out there as your top pair. I mean, holy crap!
No. Picture this power play. First unit: Thornton, Pavelski, Couture, Burns, Weber. Oh my God!
Well, hold on. What's he saying now? Back up. Oh no, that's actually to Ian. He says, but back up is Weber what this team is really missing. I feel like it. It's defense. I mean, defense. The top flight defenseman. That's
Because you could push. Yeah, I mean, it's a right-hand shot defenseman. You could stick him with Vlasic. Then you could move Braun down to the third pair at that point.
And it even gives you the opportunity to use Burns in a Bufflin type of role, where one night you might have him at forward, and then if somebody gets injured, you could put him at D, or if it depends on the game situation, you roll 7D. I mean,
because you're looking, I don't know. I mean, if I'm making the pairs at this point, I'm probably not putting. I'd probably keep Martin with Burns. So you got Vlasic, Weber, Martin, Burns, and then you could go Dylan, Braun, which I don't think would be awful.
It won't be tire fire, that's for sure.
This won't be it's a third pair. It's not it's not going to be awesome. It's going to be an adequate third pair, I think.
I think it'll be okay, but I don't know. I have a little more faith in Braun than Dylan. I swear to God, I just have no faith.
It's better than Dylan Tennyson.
Yes, no, I give you that.
It's better than Dylan DeMello.
Yeah.
It's better than Dylan Stollery.
But is it better? But is it better
with Dylan on his offside?
But I'm just saying, is it better than Braun Tennyson? Is it better than Braun Stollery? Is it better than Braun DeMello?
Well, then they're playing the wrong side.
Either way, if it affords you to make Dylan your sixth guy,
yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's my. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I think that would definitely shore up the defense. Like, can you imagine Shea Weber and Vlasic? Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. But he keeps saying, "Is this what the team is missing?" And I've mentioned it ad nauseum. For me, it is. To me, it absolutely is. This team is so.
I'd put that sixth defenseman against any in the league.
Well, you look at. See, the reason why I say that is what I do believe the team is missing is look at what happened when they lost Vlasic last year in the playoffs. Whole fucking defense folded.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, just because of no depth, no nothing.
Well, here's another thing that I'll throw out. What if it was you get Weber for this year's second rounder, Stalock, Nieto, but then again, Nashville doesn't need a backup goaltender. They have former Shark Carter Hutton tearing it up. It's going to be tough. I mean, would you give up, Timo Meier for be part of?
No, because if you're making this trade, you're banking on those forward prospects panning out.
Mm-hmm.
You're banking on Timo Meier being able to make a relatively quick jump.
Yeah, I'm not trading.
Goldobin can sort it out. That's what you're banking on, I think, and so yeah, no, because I know he keeps asking what team is missing. I feel like if some of our younger guys pan out the way I think they will, I don't think that you're expecting them to go up on a top pairing right away. So you're putting them, they're going to be playing third line. I'd like to see what Timo Meier can do on a third line with the Sharks.
Yeah, I'm not giving up a prospect.
I'm looking at the chat right now, and and Rocket. Oh my god, I freaking love you. When CSN makes an authentic fan card highlighting Dylan on the other side, you know shit's hit the bottom. So as long as we don't see that, we're good.
Well, and Gen X keeps coming back. He says, we've not addressed the fundamental issue with the Sharks, which is no third or fourth line over the last 10 years.
But if you get Couture and you get Hurdle back, if you get Couture and then you get Couture back in the lineup, that forces people down.
Mm-hmm.
You bring Torres back, which maybe not. You get rid of, you bring back Barclay Goodrow. I think he's an adequate fourth liner. This team looked, maybe it's not as good as it looked in the first 4 games. I know the first 4 games were probably somewhat a mirage, but if this team's healthy, and you have Hurdle playing your third line center, and you can have a guy like Raffi Torres on your fourth line, provided he is able to skate.
Well, let's just jot it down. The first, what's our top line? We're talking 8, we're talking 19, we're talking 68, right?
Yeah, we're talking Carlson, Jumbo, Pavs.
Okay, and we're talking, all healthy, right? Okay, so your second line, you're talking 12, you're talking 39, you're talking 42. Am I right?
So Marlowe, Couture, Ward. Yep.
Okay. The third line, we're putting 48 in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Who are we putting on the outside? We're talking, what, 27 and 57?
Yep.
Okay, so Donskoy and Wingles with Hurdle. And so that leaves you with a bottom line. Clearly, Tierney is going to be in the middle.
Yeah, probably.
And Torres and Brown.
With Torres and Brown.
Or Torres and Gaudreau.
Yeah, Torres or Gaudreau. To me, that's pretty decent depth.
Yeah. And
who knows if somebody else, maybe once all of those players are healthy, and once Couture and Raffi are back, who's to say that hasn't given Goldobin enough time that maybe your bottom line is Torres, Tierney, and Goldobin?
Mm-hmm. I don't know about this year. I don't know.
That's tough to say for.
Do I give up Mirko in the deal? No, I probably don't give up Mirko. And prospects panel with somewhere. Okay, here's the thing though: is that I don't think I really think that Timo Meier is going to be able to make a much quicker jump than Goldobin. I think he has more of the tools where he could make the jump from junior to the NHL. I don't think he's going to spend very much time with Sommer. He might do like the Couture with Sommer and spend a little bit of time with them, but as far as prospect goes, I am much higher on Timo Meier than I am on a Goldobin. If that makes sense.
Well, Gen X is pointing out the perfect thing. If you've had that roster for a while, or the Sharks have had that roster for a while, I don't know that they've had, because Torres has been the wild card in that. You haven't had Torres. You haven't had Torres for a significant amount of time. Now this might be the one time where Gen X wasn't thinking about it. I love you, bro, but Hurdle hasn't. This is the first year we're seeing him at center with any regularity whatsoever, and he's not playing scared like he was last year.
He's really been good.
Yeah, this is the first time we have Donskoy. We still haven't seen Torres for any amount of time. If you get all of those positions healthy, and you also take a little bit of the pressure off of Tierney having him on the fourth line, but you'd really be able to roll 4 lines, I think, if that group is healthy. It does leave you Torres, Tierney, and that one wild card there, whether it's Gaudreau, whether it's Goldobin, whether it's Brown, plug in who you want.
Mm-hmm. And they're still adjusting.
Or Ben Smith.
I understand the House of Cards falling down. Obviously, that's been a thing, but at the same time, and I'm not trying to just make excuses for them. They're still adjusting to a new system too. Right. The system's not that different, but they're still adjusting. And again, I'm not trying to make excuses for the Sharks at this point because, Lord knows that I can ream into them with the best of them.
True dat.
Whew.
Oh, it took it out of me, didn't it? All right. So I think that was actually a fun little diatribe to get into with that. That was kind of cool.
Very cool.
Looking forward, we have Philadelphia on the horizon.
It should be an easy win.
Oh, really?
What have you done?
It's basically, I mean, if Steve Mason can just, do 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 do,
We are. They're
with the minute 10 left, you know, I mean, why not? I mean, they had the Kings finished off, and then all of a sudden,
35 goals for, 53 goals against for the Flyers this year. They've hemorrhaged goals like crazy.
Yeah. I mean, it's on paper it's a win, but last year on paper Buffalo was a win, Columbus was a win. We all know the history. All depends on if this Sharks team shows up and wants to play. It should be. And Jones, I think, is probably going to be a bit better. He's not going to see a top-tier power play in Philadelphia. So, because I think if we go back and look, Boston, a couple of those goals, I mean, most guys are going to let that in. Tonight's game could have very easily been 4-1, 4-2, 5-2. Mm-hmm. So, yes, and now Laurel calling Eric out for the jinx.
At least I didn't say the S word.
Oh, brother.
Unlike our favorite broadcasters have said before. Looking at everything right now, Dallas won, no big deal. Of course, I'm still pissed off about LA beating Philly when Philly had them taken care of.
Dallas won despite the fact that the team can't spell their goalie's name right.
Right?
I saw that.
Columbus has won 3 in a row, and I think they've won back-to-back home games. And
the first time in franchise history.
Pittsburgh, again, doing it without Crosby. Yet for some reason, who does Pierre McGuire interview after the end of the Penguins game? Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. Come on. Oh my gosh. Too bad he's not doing any Edmonton games. He'd have a tough time.
Dude, I swear to God, if you looked at Sidney Crosby's jock, you would see it would be just like the print. You pull down Crosby's pants, his jock. It's going to look exactly like the back of McGuire's head. That's probably the outline on it.
I mean, it's just. I mean, how much more obvious can you be? Oh my God. I mean, the guy had only 3 shots tonight, didn't have an assist, didn't have a goal, didn't have a point, but yet you're sitting with him after the game. Give me a freaking break.
But Sidney.
I don't care if it's Sidney. He hasn't done shit this year. You know why? Because he's on my freaking fantasy team. That's why. Holy crap.
Do it. You know what?
Oh my God.
That's right, people. Get your pitchforks, Pittsburgh fans.
I haven't played fantasy in
there we go.
In 2
Marlowe
seasons.
For Crosby.
Oh yeah. I haven't played fantasy in a couple seasons, but for a while there, I think for like the previous 6 seasons, I was in 3 different leagues. Not once. I prided myself. Not once did I ever take fucking Sidney Crosby. Even when I had a top 3 pick, I'm like, nope. I'd always find someone else, and funnily enough, it always ended up working out for the best. I mean, it's not like even when I picked in my fantasy league, it even worked out great. Even when I was 9th.
Ooh.
We all know what happens when you're 9. You get bent out of shape, man.
Oh my God.
But haters gonna hate.
Wow, that's your second Taylor Swift reference.
I know, man. It's just too fucking
shake
funny.
It off. Shake it off.
Wow.
Ooh. Oh my gosh. With that, we might want to move on here. But by the way, Nashville beat Anaheim 3-2, and Carrie Underwood's husband made Kevin Bieksa's tooth wiggle during a fight. Nice. I don't know if you saw that. You should take a look at the replay on that. Oh my goodness, it was the funniest thing. Fisher connects right onto Bieksa's face, and then he opens up his mouth, and the tooth is just dangling, and they had it in super slow-mo too, which makes it hilarious.
That was Nashville beating Anaheim. That was in regulation, yes.
Yes, it was.
Jesus Christ, man! What the hell is going on with
Frederick
Anaheim?
Anderson got pulled in the game, and yeah, I don't know what in the world. Anaheim seems like they got it going, and then they don't. I'm looking at the highlights right now as I'm speaking. They missed on a breakaway. Then he gets a rebound. It's stopped by Rene's mask. He chips it out to Cogliano, who has an open goal and absolutely does nothing with it. He looted in San Jose.
Oh, that's always.
But the most disappointing game, and maybe we start seeing rumblings about Patrick Waugh, Toronto 5, Colorado 1.
Ouch.
I'm sorry. If that...
What the hell happened to that team? I mean, did they trade away that much talent?
No, they just were.
Or they were just out of their ass. They were just out of their ass last season.
The 2 seasons ago, when they were awesome, they were just riding unsustainable goaltending, and now everything's come back down to earth, and they're terrible, like they should have been.
Who was that? Was that Varlamov?
That was Varlamov, yeah.
Wow. All right.
That in freaking... How many comebacks did they have in that playoff series? Minnesota should have won them. They should have beat them in 5. And they just came back and came back, and then of course they ran out of time against Minnesota.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. I mean, they were Calgary the year before Calgary was Calgary.
Right. And it was this year. Calgary was last year's Colorado.
That's
this
right.
year's who knows that? Who would you say would be this year's Colorado, or this year's Calgary?
Too early to tell.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me look at.
I'd say the same thing.
I think it's too early to tell. Everything looks kind of right.
Yeah, I mean.
Although the Rangers and the Montreal Streaks have been definitely something to.
Yes.
Yeah, the Rangers have won 9 in a row.
Yeah.
But I mean, that doesn't surprise me. The Rangers are a good team. Who's playing over their heads? I don't know. Maybe
Pretty much. Maybe New Jersey.
Vancouver.
I'm sorry, I kind of feel like Dallas is playing a little over their heads.
Maybe a little over their heads, but I mean that offense is disgusting.
It's a pretty good offense, but I didn't think that defense and that goalie tandem were going to be that great. I mean, especially when you look at how much money they spent on the Emmy and Letna. I mean, they got like $10 million in net.
But they can score their way out of trouble, and that's the thing with Dallas is they have the offense that they can score their way out of trouble. Their goal differential I think is like plus 20 or something ridiculous like that, and they've allowed 48 goals as a team. So
Gen X might have hit it on the head again. Waugh won't get canned until after the Stadium Series game, which that's in March. I mean, by then the season's going to be in deep doo-doo. But he also goes on to iRead Pucknology. Great Twitter handle, by the way. The real problem is Avs picked McKinnon over Seth Jones.
Yep, I'd agree with that 100 bajillion%.
Yeah. Oh, and with regards to Bieksa, it says Bieksa has said that the tooth he lost in the scrap with Fisher was actually fake. He lost the original 8 years ago in a different fight.
Of course he make up an excuse.
Oh, you know what? Jake has a pretty good one. He's saying Arizona is this year's Calgary.
Too soon to tell.
Yeah, too soon to tell. I mean, they kind of had that start. They've cooled, though.
Yeah.
I think Arizona is starting to turn into, I mean, I don't want to go full-blown football Dennis Green, but they are kind of who we thought they were.
Yeah, it's too soon to tell. Like, Arizona, I mean, you're looking at a team, like, they're not exactly riding out-of-this-world goaltending. Their goal
differential wait a minute. Dude, it's so fucking obvious.
Okay.
The team that's playing over their head is the Canucks.
Yeah, that's what I said too.
Okay. I'm sorry. I was between reading this and everything. Yeah. No, the Canucks are certainly.
I think the Canucks might luck their way into the playoffs.
Oh man, I just can't even see it, man. Didn't we peg them as like 5th?
Yeah.
In the Pacific? I mean.
Yeah, but if Anaheim can't figure.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
But I'm just.
Edmonton's not going to do anything. Arizona's not going to do anything. I mean.
You looked at all the talent that Vancouver lost.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unbelievable, and really didn't replace it with anything. Although Vatanen has turned into something that I don't think they expected.
No, I mean they got I mean both if you want to look at the key to both the Arizona Coyotes and the Vancouver Canucks how they've gotten here it's been rookies. It's been guys that made the team, I mean
Domi,
especially in Vancouver. Like Vancouver, everyone thought here in the Sioux, we all thought we were getting Jared McCann back this year. We're not getting Jared McCann back. And then you have Virtanen as well. Like both those guys are going to stay there. Both those guys could have easily been sent back to junior for, in the case of Mickey, I think for both another year. They're not going back to junior. And then you look at Arizona, you got guys that made the team, like Max Domi, who many thought that they might try and, hide in the AHL just to be away from the disaster in the NHL team. And then Anthony Duclair, same thing again, guys that maybe not neither. I don't think either one was junior eligible this year, but again, there's just these guys that are rookies that have just stepped onto the big stage and are playing out of their minds.
Cheers.
And I love Max Domi. That was one guy I was hoping that the Sharks could grab in the draft, but it was taken too early. It's like, crap.
His dad had some of the best NHL highlights ever.
Right?
I mean, straight out of Goon, dude, trying to jump over the glass from the penalty. I mean, come on.
Yeah, he's got some pretty sick minutes.
Here's the picture. We'll warn you now. This might be graphic to some people.
Uh-oh.
But here's Kevin Bieksa after getting his tooth punched out by Mike Fisher.
It's really, honestly, it's really not that different from his normal look.
It's just instead of saying, Logan Couture's a diver, it's who's a diver.
Who was the guy that Dallas made fun of? I thought was it Bieksa?
It was what was it? Fiddler? Made fun of Bieksa, and that made Alain Vigneault go crazy. I still laugh at that at every freaking day.
Dude, that's one of the best videos, dude. Just the fact that Vigneault just could not get it together. Oh my god, that was so fucking funny.
Oh boy. We've already talked about 3-on-3 for the All-Star game. I guess they're gonna drop the fantasy draft, which I thought was the best thing.
Ooh, double thumbs down.
Poor Phil Kessel's not gonna be able to win another card, or Logan for that matter.
Wasn't he like second?
Yeah, it was
second last or something.
Like Kessel was the first one to get it, and then Logan, and then I forget who got it last year. So that's too bad. All I'm saying is after seeing last year's All-Star uniforms, and since it's in Nashville this year, I can't wait for the fluorescent yellow jerseys.
Ugh.
These jerseys were so terrible last year.
Why? I'm just throwing this out there. I mean, I understand for a certain point, but it just why the hell do the Sharks play Chicago every fucking Wednesday before Thanksgiving? I mean, every goddamn year. It used to be a tradition with me and a couple friends of mine that we would always go to the game the day before Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. And after 4 years in a row, we're like, okay, are we ever going to see a team other than the goddamn Blackhawks on this day? I mean, come on, change it up a little bit, would you? It makes me wonder what the hell happens in Chicago at the United Center every fucking Wednesday.
Is it the circus? Is the circus road trip?
I don't know.
I have no idea what it is, but it's. I mean, dear Lord, I'm pretty sure that the Blackhawks have played in San Jose the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I'd say 5 out of the last 7 seasons, maybe 6 out of the last 7. It's insane.
It's no different than opening up against the Kings, though. Just seems like that's a new thing.
Like a third year in a row.
Yeah, but I mean, we've seen it where we've opened against Nashville, we've opened against Anaheim, opened. God, who else? There was one opener I went to that I was like, wow, that seems odd. Like it was against the Rangers or some shit. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, wow, okay, this is different. But just the fact that we're like fucking Chicago every goddamn time, and we still can't figure out how to do back-to-backs in LA and Anaheim. Still can't do it.
They can never do that. Come on, that makes too much sense. Yet every Eastern Conference team goes through California on the same road trip.
I mean, I wonder if they understand like just how much money they're losing. And I mean, not that it's a huge amount, but I know so many people who would like if they made that like Anaheim and LA back to back, like on a Friday and a Saturday night or something like that. There's so many people that would drive down, go to both of those and come back, because I'd be one of them. I know so many people that we would just put a party bus together. It just bums me out, man.
You know, it's kind of funny. They haven't played the Blackhawks before Thanksgiving in a while, actually.
Really?
Yeah, last year was the Flames. The year before it was the Kings.
But then, like the previous four or five.
But yeah, like the previous few years, I'm with you. I'm thinking it was with Chicago.
Yeah, like
because I remember taking a picture with Eddie Olczyk after the game that night. So that was, yeah. I mean, it was pretty much like a Chicago thing all the time. So.
Well, we also got see. Well, we're talking about a league who can't schedule the Sharks to play a divisional rival until March.
Like Vancouver.
How does that work?
Yeah, I don't get that at all, and we don't. And you know, I'm looking at the schedule. Jesus Christ! I mean, we don't see Edmonton until the new year.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else in division that we don't see until after the new year? Doesn't look like it. Yeah.
Flames?
Yeah, I would say the Flames we haven't seen yet. We see the Flames,
but the Flames
next Saturday.
Right, yeah.
So we get them at home, but yeah, that we don't host Edmonton until. Jeez, man.
Just a wonky schedule.
Yeah, really wonky. In fact, that's the other thing too is you get this far into it, you would think that a quarter of the way into the season, or at least 25 games, I mean a third of the way into the season, you would see at least every one of your divisional rivals once, and yet we don't see Edmonton for like another 3 weeks, and that'll be the first time we've played them, isn't it? Or wait a minute, did we already play Edmonton?
No,
we haven't, because
we don't play Edmonton. The first time is December 9th.
Yeah,
which is the day after we meet the Flames.
But it's I'm assuming there'll be build up for that. Hopefully McDavid will be healthy by then. And
supposedly the date for McDavid to return is January 14th, which is against the Sharks.
Oh, well, I'll take that one.
It's also, by the way, the first game Raffi Torres is eligible to come back.
Oh, that sounds like fun. I'm going to have to go to that game, because the last time I went to a game where Edmonton was being hosted by the Sharks, ran into Remenda in the walkway. It was very cool. Just fan after fan going, "It's fucked up, man." It's so funny, dude.
Man.
And we do not play the Canucks until February 28th. And then we have like a mini series, because we play the Canucks Sunday, February 28th. The next night we have Vancouver. We are hosting Montreal. Then we go back to Vancouver that Thursday, and then Saturday they come back down here.
Yeah, I mean, 3 times in a week? Are you fucking kidding me? And the fact that they're making you go to Vancouver, then come back home to face Montreal, then you have a couple days off, and then you have to go back up to Vancouver just to come back home and host Vancouver. Give me a fucking break with this. I mean, like I've said, you talk about getting into a rant. Fucking figure out the goddamn scheduling for the team that travels the most miles every fucking season. Come on, man. Give me a break with this shit.
I mean,
every fucking time. And how now? Okay, here's where retard goes to a new fucking level.
Now, don't use the R word. Go ahead.
Here's where stupid goes to a new level.
There we go.
Okay. Right. We go to Vancouver, play a Thursday game there. Then we come back home to host Vancouver, just so we can turn around and go back up there to play back-to-backs against Calgary and Edmonton. What in the flying fuck? I mean, give me a break. How do you not flip those two? You're playing the same fucking teams, man.
You know what? You are absolutely right.
How do you not figure that shit out?
Sunday the 28th, Sharks at Vancouver. Monday the 29th, Canadians at San Jose. Then you get a couple days off. And then Thursday at Vancouver. Saturday in San Jose to take on Vancouver. Monday in Calgary to take on the Flames. And then the next night up to Edmonton. Then you got to come back down to Thursday to take on the Devils.
Right?
Oh my God.
How the fuck do you not flip those games? It's the same two teams. How do you not flip that? No. We're just going to make San Jose travel more for the hell of it.
But wait, it gets better. So we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6-game homestand from March 19th to the 28th. And then we play the Kings Monday the 28th of March, and then the next night we go to Vancouver to take on the Canucks. 2 nights later, Vancouver comes down here to San Jose.
Again, why not just flip those?
But wait, and then we go on a 2-game road trip to Nashville and Minnesota in April, and then we finish the season with the Jets and Coyotes at home. Huh?
Yeah, I just for me though, it's those two Vancouver, like how I mean I don't know, I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I'm assuming that somewhere around here is a fucking itinerary for the Tank and for what's their building? Rogers Center?
Yes, Rogers something.
Rogers Arena.
Yeah, Rogers Arena.
Not to confuse with Rogers Place, which will be the new home of the Oilers.
Yeah. So, and good job with that, guys. No one's going to be confused by that. How do you
Rogers Center for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. So, either way, I want to see the itinerary. What the fuck is going on in San Jose on March 3rd, and what the fuck is going on in Vancouver on March 5th? That they couldn't flip those games. I mean, is Taylor Swift coming to town? Hey, another reference. Ha!
No, I think it's Demi Lovato and Nick Jonas or something.
Oh,
wow.
damn.
No, and if it's Demi Lovato, wow is right. Wow is right. I'm definitely listening for that for sure.
You know, I wasn't even sure who the hell that chick was for a little while, and then I was like, who the hell is that? Because she's kind of fun to look at.
And with that, we should probably...
Oh, really? That's what we're leaving this at? Fuck you.
I don't want to insult some of our viewers, that's all. With that, let's wrap it up. It's almost midnight for Ian. Ian, tell us what's coming up on the show that you won't be on tomorrow.
Wait, what?
Well, I might be a game time decision for tomorrow. We'll see. However, either way, Mr. Puck Guy will be on the show tomorrow, either for me or with me. It depends on what happens, and then we'll go from there.
And that's Teal Tinted Glasses Hockey
Yes,
Podcast.
Teal Tinted Glasses Podcast.
You can find that on iTunes and on Pucknology.net.
That's right.
AJ, any final thoughts?
Nothing that won't get me in trouble.
Jeez. All right, so the Sharks win 5-4 over the Boston Bruins. An awesome game tonight for sure. They will play on Thursday against the Philadelphia Flyers. That is a 4 o'clock start.
Yep.
They'll be on They'll be on pretty much all CSNs everywhere. We're just not the annoying one that has a goal, give a batch of tasty cakes to everybody. With that being said, for Ian Reed, AJ Strong, Gentry Alexander, Wendell McGowan, Rocket Backhander, Eric Landy, Chris GWS, Gentry Alexander, Daryl Martin. I got them all this time, right,
Easter
guys?
Bunny, Santa Claus, and the Tooth Fairy.
With that, oh, and guys, I forgot one. We can officially welcome Randall Hahn to the Pucknology family of rosters. Oh, and Felix. What was that?
I said the Pucknology family of jackasses.
Until then, keep it real, keep it fresh, keep it real fresh. Peace the puck out.